All right. I apologize. Doesn't seem like I'm lagging too bad right now, but I have had a hard time getting my connection to act right. My kids streaming Fortnite, everything else. How's everybody doing tonight? Y'all let me know that you're there in the comments before I bring on our guest. And let me know how I'm sounding. If I'm too terribly laggy, then I guess I can jump off here and get back in on my phone. Let's see here. See 5 people watching. I don't see nobody commenting. Where's everybody at? How y'all doing tonight? Oh, y'all don't want to talk? All right. I'll bring somebody on here. Facebook user. Can't tell who that is. But what's going on? Appreciate you stopping by. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest and my good buddy. What's going on, Steve? Bourbon Ball Pythons in the building. Appreciate you stopping by. Gary from the Noodle Ranch, and he's going to hop on here just a second. Let me get him on here. Yeah, like I say, y'all let me know if I'm lagging too bad. Oh, I see you're on YouTube and Facebook. I got you. What's happening, brother?
What's up?
Am I lagging bad?
No, it actually looks a lot better than it did.
Cool.
You're good.
Cool. All right. Awesome, man. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
How about yourself?
Not too bad, man. Other than these technical difficulties trying to get the stream to act right. It seems like every 2 or 3 or 2 in a row, I get something to mess up, and it's the same thing week in and week out. I don't know what it is, but I think I got it all squared away, lined out. I think I just had my video quality too high, and it was having a hard time. It's like I was telling you about as far as the internet capability and the quality of the stream, what it's able to let through. But anyway, I think I got it squared away, and we'll get this thing started. Like I said, as y'all jump in, let me know you're there. Say hey in the comments. And if you got a question along the way for Gary, don't hesitate to ask it. So the Noodle Ranch, and how long have you been keeping reptiles, bro?
As far as keeping, most of my life, I was the kid that was out in the creeks, running around flipping rocks, trying to catch everything I could see.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I didn't catch anything real bad because I would have got bit.
Right.
But as far as, well, I had some pet ball pythons and a boa back about 10 or 12 years ago when I first met my wife. And I was really ignorant back then. I was keeping them wrong. But I mean, they were all healthy and thriving, but looking back, I was like, man, I could have done that different. But
yeah. Well, now that you know, and you know, it's been years past, and education, put on you, and research and all that. Like all of us, we all have to mess up at one point.
Yeah, that's how you learn. I mean, but I had those, and I actually got my wife. She was girlfriend at the time. We wasn't even engaged at that point, but I got her involved, and she loved them for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then she brought her friend over, and she was like, "Oh, come check out our red-tailed boa and all this." And she took her up there, and I was sitting downstairs, and I heard the screams. So she came running down, and she just stuck her hand straight down in, boa nailed her, and that was the end of it. She said, "Me or the snakes," and I'm still married, so I chose her.
Was it a bad bite?
Huh?
Was it a bad bite?
No, it wasn't bad. It was a defensive bite. It wasn't a food response. So
Right.
it just tagged her and let go. So
Yeah, one of those
hopefully it didn't wrap her up.
One of those punch bites.
Yeah, but it was her fault. She didn't know any better at the time, and neither did I. I was ignorant too. But we got rid of everything at that point, and then I think it was maybe October-ish, maybe September, October of last year.
Mm.
I got the itch, and it was a pretty good conversation.
Yeah.
I had to have a long talked her into letting me get a pet.
Right.
And I was supposed to keep it out of the way, out of sight, out of mind, kind of thing.
This was a ball python.
And well, the first one I got was a Baird's rat snake.
Okay.
And I pretty much saved its life. The guy I got it from, I don't even know his name to drop it, which I wouldn't anyway. I don't want to bash nobody, but
right.
But he, when I got there to get it, he was like, "Yeah." He loves his water bowl. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." And I get there, and he's like the size of a pencil.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, okay, so he's a hatchling. He's a baby." He's like, "No, he's about 2 years old." I'm like,
Man.
"What?"
Right.
So I get there, and I said, "When was the last time he ate?" He said, "Probably about 3-4 months ago." It's like, but he was still doing okay, I guess, because I mean they can go a while. We all know that, but
yeah.
But now he's about 4 foot long, and he eats everything that comes in front of him. So
I'm uneducated on rat snakes. Are they one that does a brumation like was it the bull snakes and pine snakes and those? Where they do a brumation? Do you know?
As far as that goes, I don't have a clue because I never looked into breeding him. He was just a pet. He still is. He's just my buddy.
Yeah.
But I would imagine they probably do go through a brumation.
Yeah.
Because they're like native to the brumation state.
I got you. Thanks for tuning in, April. We got Main Street and Morphs in the building. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. Okay, so that's kind of like the backstory to what brought you to where you are today. And we done lost Gary. First it was me, now it's Gary. Well, crap. Let's see here. He should hop back in here in a second. Going back, so Steve, is that you on Facebook and YouTube? I see you said hey from YouTube, and then sorry, Steve, but I didn't know if you were just commenting for the YouTube comment because I can see your name there. It shows up like this here, but as far as the Facebook user goes, it's showing up like this here. So, all right, we got Gary backstage. I'll bring him back on. What happened?
Sorry about that. Yeah, that was my fault.
He just said, "Peace, I'm out."
Yeah, I said, "No, I ain't dealing with y'all.
Not tonight.
Not today."
So
no, I was just like talking, and I was like, "Oh, squirrel! Look, chat button. Let's hit the chat and see what they're saying." Yeah. And it just backed me completely out. It's like, so I won't do that again.
Yeah, I'll try to bring up the comments as they come in, so you can just look at the screen and be able to read them from there. I try to remember to do that. A lot of times I'll just read them from the comment actual board here. But anyway, so that's kind of the backstory of what brought you to, where you are today, and what got you started in it. What would you say was the reason why you decided to uh, become? Sorry, my phone's on loud. Become the Noodle Ranch and turn it into hobby business, um, and take it to the next step other than just keeping snakes.
Mm.
What's going on, GP?
So
Sean Porter in the building.
I've always been a nerd to like watching things happen, watching things grow. I've raised gardens and flowers. I just enjoy that type of thing. So
Right.
like I had chickens, I bred them, and I enjoyed watching that happen. And like I said, like back years ago as a kid, I've always been a reptile nerd. So
Mm-hmm.
I talked her into letting me get that rat snake for a pet. So I get it. And then it came with I think it was a animal plastics 6 tub rack.
Okay.
And it was a lone snake in that rack. So
Too lonely.
yeah. So I was like, well, let me get this champagne that I just saw on Facebook for sale cheap.
All right.
It's like, okay, that's it. So then I get it, and transparency. I'm all open. I got it. The thing was covered in mites. It was awful.
Yeah.
So treated all that, got it all squared away, and she's doing great. She's doing fine. She's actually going to be breeding for me next season. She was underweight, but so I got her, and then it just snowballed. Man, she started taking interest, and I'm kind of glad for that
Right.
because I don't think it would be where it is today if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. It's always better when our significant other is down with the hobby, because then it's not like where they feel like it's that other thing that you love more than them, but something that they enjoy seeing you love because they think it's kind of cool. But if they absolutely hate it, then it becomes like another woman or something. It's well, I noticed once I got my wife into certain aspects of it, it became a lot easier for me to say, "Hey, I'm picking up 3 more snakes," and "Hey, I'm picking up." And now it's just assumed that at any given moment, like tomorrow, I could be picking up 4 snakes. And it happens, and it snowballs quick. So I definitely understand where you're coming from there. Um, and it's an addictive hobby, man. I have several hobbies, and this is right up there with hunting, fishing, and throwing a bunch of money at some hobbies that I'll never see back. But this is one that I can honestly say that I have been able to recoup some of my money um, invested, and that was one thing that I wanted to be able to talk tonight about. And it looks like I have a couple people that I know for sure. Not trying to call anybody out or pinpoint anybody, not necessarily call anybody out, but a couple people I know for sure are in their freshman year, just getting started sometimes, or at some point in their takeoff of getting in the ball python breeding business. Um, and being that you're kind of fresh on that journey as well, I'm not too far from there. Figured it'd be something that we could kind of touch on and talk about, bring up, uh, you know, just everything about it. So if you all have questions specifically about, uh, starting a ball python breeding business, um, anything pertaining to that, this is one podcast where you'd want to ask those questions, and we may not have the answer to them, but we'll definitely talk about it and give our opinions on it. So let's see. Amber Ballard says, "Sounds like you're directing this at me." And Amber, she was afraid of them, and now she's got to herself. So these are some friends of mine who come down time to time, buy some snakes and stuff like that. I think she was talking about um, us when we were saying it's nice when their significant other gets into it. It's facts, you know. It's I mean, if it'll make you not want to do it if your significant other is like, I'm tired of you always talking about these dang snakes, and I don't want to see nothing more on Morph Market, you know, and it just aggravates them. You're gonna get aggravated at it. It's just a fact. I mean, unless you just don't care. I mean, some people are just like that. They just don't give a damn what you know anybody else says, and they're just like, hey, I'm gonna do what I do. You know, Justin,
Yeah,
what's going on, brother? Go ahead, man.
yeah. It gets to the point like if you can't get them on board, is it really worth listening to the bitching and fighting all the time?
Yeah.
So thankfully, I got her on board now. She's got her own snake. You know, she got it from you. So
Yep. Yep.
Kleptopatra.
Kleptopatra. So, a few of you I know have followed my journey. Last year, 2020, I had a 8-ball clutch, hatched 3 8-balls, but one of them came out severely kinked and was dead shortly after. And then I had 2 that made it and, you know, are living good lives now, but one of which had a cleft palate or a cleft lip. And Gary's wife now has that baby, and she loves it to death. And I actually coined the name Kleptopatra and didn't expect them to keep it, but they did, and it sticks, and I love it. But she is thriving now. She had several months, I mean several months of hard feeding troubles, but she finally picked it up, and she's eating like a champ now.
She's
So
doing great now. She's living her best life right over here behind me.
yes, sir. All right, so we got a question here, but I'm gonna kind of put a spin on it, which I'll ask it. She says, "Would you recommend I split the heat tape or go out and buy an ARS?" So what she's asking, she has a 5-slot rack or 5-tier 70 series rack that has, or maybe you're not talking about that rack. She may be talking about another rack, but it's where it S's down the entire rack system, right? So when you have that done on a rack system, ultimately you're going to have some heat loss from top to bottom. Plus the fact of a rack being on the floor, you're already going to have heat dissipating from the floor. You know, your floor's however many degrees cooler. So it's always better to be able to have your rack system off of the floor. So and there be a barrier in between, or you know, some type of air in between, so that you're not absorbing, or heat is absorbing, you know, through the floor. But the question I want to ask from this to you, Gary, is would you recommend someone just flat out, because I see you got the ARS behind you, would you recommend that somebody just flat out, you know, say they have several $1,000s to invest in the business, go out and buy an ARS, or start out with some melamine or cheap PVC racks, and then get some, you know, season underneath them, and then reinvest? What would you recommend?
I would say it depends on your mindset. If you know for 100% sure that you're in it, that you're going to stick with it and stay with it, and go buy ARS
Yeah.
or Freedom Breeder. I mean, I'm not sponsored by ARS. I ain't married to them, but Freedom Breeder is just as good, whichever's cheaper for you to get to. And if you're 100% sure that this is what you're going to do, then I would go with ARS or Freedom Breeder, the high end racks. One, because the quality's so much better. You've got the ability to put a thermostat on every level if you want. I do 3. I do 3 different levels.
Isolate the zones, basically what you mean.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because heat rises. I mean,
right.
So you've got that ability. And if not, if you decide to get out later, then you've got that resale value.
Yeah.
They hold their value. You can recoup at least a huge portion of that money if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But if it's just a project and you don't know for sure, you're kind of iffy, then I would say do like I did in the beginning. I went to that guy and I got that what was it? And it was an animal plastics rack.
Mm.
I got it, and then I found a guy that was getting out, and he sold me 4 of the sea serpent racks. So I got them, and then I outgrew those, and then I decided, you know what, I'm in it, so might as well go with it. So I went with these. Hindsight 2020, I would have just went with these straight out of the gate because that's just me. I don't go into stuff halfway. I go full force.
Yeah.
I'm not
I can,
saying I won't
I can relate to
fail,
that.
but that's just everything I do. Like mowing my yard, I go full force. I stripe it. I do everything.
Stripe and cross stripe.
Yep, always.
I can
Just
relate to that,
everything I
man.
do is full force, and that is a benefit and a flaw. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it screws me, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would say, my opinion, if you know you're going to stick with it, go with ARS or Freedom Breeder or one of the top tier
Yeah.
back.
You definitely cannot go wrong with ARS, in my opinion. It's one of those things where, like he was saying, if it's hard to know if you are going to be in it to know I'm quitting this in 2 years or, a year before any time where you're able to, get your investment back, or even make any money in this business, um, until you've actually been in it. It's kind of like you don't go buy a car without test driving it. But at the same time, you're kind of like me, where all you really need is to kind of look at the aspect of it. And if you say that you're going to do it, then you're going to do it. And that's just is what it is. My wife, I know a lot of times, she's just like, you're not going to like even just, see how this goes for a little bit. And then you can, maybe marry it in a year or so, but you just want to go in with it right at the way. I mean, I'm like that, like you said, with everything. I thought for sure I was going to be on, the next sponsored hunter. Just had to get a GoPro and go out there and film, spend hundreds of dollars on filming equipment, and forget my GoPro at home, or forget to charge the batteries, or forget to bring my camera arm in my tree, or get so tore up when a deer comes through, even if it's a little button buck, that I don't pull the camera up to record it, So there's a lot to it. And when you find something that you like and you're good at, it's kind of a no-brainer. And this is something that I like and I'm good at, and I eventually worked my way up. So what you want to do is just kind of, to answer that question, Amber, is to just figure out what kind of works for you. You don't want to break the bank by going and buy our ARS if you can't afford to take one of your snakes to the vet if it ends up being egg bound. You want to have a little bit of a cushion to where you can do these things, but there's no going wrong with the ARS. But at the same time, yes, you can. There's people who've been doing it for 20, 30 years in melamine and PVC. Little sterilite tubs. I mean, I know somewhere somebody's breeding. You got 50 ball pythons and glass aquariums all throughout their house, and they're just convinced that they will not change from the way that they've been doing it in 1998. But that's just how
it works.
Huh?
If it works,
Yeah.
Who am I to say they're wrong? So
Yeah. So Justin, Clefto is the 8 ball. She's one of the 8 ball. They're sisters. So I have an 8 ball, and Gary and his wife have the sister of the 8 ball. They're both black pastel cinnamons. I think he's going to get her for you. BJ, appreciate you stopping by, brother. Got to get up early.
This
Here,
is
I'll
cleft
put you up
lip.
here solo.
I don't know. You can see her cleft lip. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
she's
know, I can
getting
see it.
big and fat.
Put that face back up there again.
Get back up here.
Your camera's really good, man. Oh, she's starting to do the front flick.
Yeah,
See,
sometimes it still comes out the side.
Yeah.
But
when I first brought her over there, all of her tongue flicks would be out the little slit. It was hilarious. It would come out to the side through the little slit. His wife's heart about melted when she seen that.
she's in love. If anything ever happens to this snake, I might as well just go ahead and sign the divorce paper.
Sorry, I had to adjust my lighting a little bit. All right.
Going back to the question about ARS and all that, there is absolutely nothing wrong with sea serpents and animal plastics or building them yourself. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, the snakes can live a perfectly healthy life. If I was going to do the home built DIY stuff, I would just order the tubs from one of the reputable companies.
Yeah.
And just build it around those.
Yep. So
go ahead, I'm sorry. Ridiculous. They're so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about this on the last podcast with Courtney from CD Exotics. She has a absolute plethora of DIY build videos, and there are I can't even put a number. There's hundreds of videos out there on YouTube of how you can do your own snake rack builds. But like Gary said, I would definitely go and get the tubs from ARS, Freedom Breeder, even Reptile Basics, Vivarium, the VE tubs. The best tub that I've found that works good for me is a flat bottom tub. The tubs that have the raised little lip on it, they seem to lose heat. And that's one thing that I do like about the ARS tubs and the Freedom Breeder tubs is that they're flat. But once you get going enough and once you have, so many snakes to take care of, and especially if you're breeding your rats and, not to mention live a full life with, kids and job and all this and that, there's very little time for you to build racks. So at the end of the day, sometimes it makes sense to buy a rack.
Time is money.
Yes, time is money. We've went over this conversation 100 times where we go back and forth. And we're like, man, we can build this. And I'm like, yeah, we can build it. And he's like, but do we really want to build it? When are we going to build it? So me, if I haven't said this 100 times already, me and Gary breed rats together. And sometimes it's a challenge because he works third shift and I work day shift. So there's a lot of times where he gets fresh off work and, straight to cleaning rats. Or, he's been off or sleep and then he gets up, comes over, clean rats when I just get off work or whatever. So it's a struggle sometimes, but it's a necessary evil because between the two of us, I mean, shoot, man, I couldn't imagine that rat bill a week. Which brings me to my next question. How many snakes are you up to or reptiles are you up to in your collection?
So I've got 25.
Okay.
I think 4. Got 21 snakes as far as ball pythons, and then I've got 2 hognose. I got a breeding pair, but they're not up to weight yet.
I got you. Future breeders?
Yeah, futures, but they're just like a side gig. I just love them.
Yeah.
And I've got 4, supposed to be a 1.3 group of eastern box turtles.
Nice.
As they get older, I think I've got more males than one, but
Yeah.
those you can't really tell till they get older.
Right.
They're like, what do they call it?
Temperature sex.
determinant
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're kind of just
They,
trusting the breeder that they,
yeah.
you know, incubated them at the right temperature.
But
We got
based on what I've seen about their eye colors and all that, I think I've got at least 2 males
yeah.
and hopefully 2 females. But I could be wrong.
I
But
got you.
they're just a side project too.
As long as you got a female, then you can get babies, a female and a male.
Yep.
I hear that's how it's done.
I don't really care if I ever breed them.
Right.
They're just my little puppy dogs that have scales and, well, scoots, if you want to call it the right term.
I got you. Larry Howard, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you stopping in. Hope everybody's having an awesome night. Yes, you too, man. I can't see who this is right here. See it? I don't know how y'all are seeing it, but it's popping up Facebook user saying, hey, but hey, I appreciate you tuning in. Y'all let me know who that is. So as far as, we talked about as far as, equipment wise with the rack system. It's Desiree. How's it going, Desiree? And you saying that, ARS is definitely not a wrong choice. Do you have a preference on as far as if someone was to cheap out on a thermostat? Is that important? Do you feel like it's important to buy a proportional thermostat versus an on-off thermostat, or the $20 one that we can get on Amazon versus the $200 one that we can get from Herbstat or VE?
No, thermostats don't matter. You don't need those.
Yeah, I mean,
at all. Put them on a heat rock.
Yes, heat rocks.
No, I'm just kidding. That is not true. I would
jokes.
I would strongly advise with going with Herbstat.
Yeah.
It might be a little more expensive, but I mean, if you're spending even if you're spending $100 on a snake,
yeah,
then you're going to sink at least $2 to $3 a week on it. So if in 1 year your snake dies because of your cheapo thermostat, like I've done it. I've done the jump starts. I've done all of those, and I had fluctuations, problems with them. Not to the point where it killed anything or nothing, but it probably could have.
Right.
Eventually, I have had 0 problems out of Herbstat, and they're really not that much more expensive if you look at the long term. If you look at, like, I've had these for right at a year, and the guy before me had them for right at 2 years.
Yeah.
And they're still working perfect.
Yeah. It's
and
another thing.
0 fluctuations.
Right. I guess that's another thing with longevity and knowing that, you're in it to be in it. And this is not just a phase. It's nothing for you to spend, $200 or $300 on a Herbstat when you just spent $1,500 on snakes in the past, 2 or 3 months. If that is going to mean that you don't have to worry about, thermostats cutting on or off on the on position, so just staying on, or just crapping out altogether, or whatever the issues are that we don't have to experience because we have Herbstats, and we'll invest in that nice line of thermostats. Now, I'm not trying to bash on VE. Vivarium Electronics, I always call it VE because I don't know how to say the word. But anyway, I'm not trying to bash on them, but I have had people tell me that they will crap out on you. And when I hear that, I'm like, nah, I'm out. I do have one I plan on replacing it. It is okay. It's a VE 300. I haven't had any issues with it, but all the time I come in here and I look at it and I'm like, it's today today. It's today today. But it only controls the backup enclosure that I use for just temporarily when I need to clean my Dumeral's boa cage out or one of the big boas. I'll put them in it, and they're able to maintain heat for a little while. And if I don't get back to it that night, no big deal. As long as I get a water dish in there, I can clean their enclosure tomorrow. But I definitely think that a good quality thermostat is important, and just as important as a decent rack system. Now, there's a lot of people that will try to build their own racks and not do waterproofing material like melamine, or waterproof it with the dry lock or something to that nature. And they'll find out over time that it will mold because you need high humidity. Excuse me. All right, so Larry says that he has I don't even know how you say that word, pi meter thermostat from Amazon. It's pretty accurate on temperature. So I actually meant to call him the other night. I meant to call you, man. I'm sorry. I got super busy, which happens a lot. Don't worry. I leave Gary on red all the time. It's not you. It's me. So I was going to tell him because I was explaining to him that proportional thermostats are almost absolutely necessary when it comes to radiant heat panels, or when it comes to ceramic heat emitters. I just feel like they are the best way of maintaining an accurate heat hotspot or whatever temperature you're trying to get to underneath that probe. So, Larry, what proportional thermostats are is they will pulse the power to the heat source at a steady rate to where it keeps it there, or dimming is where it will use a certain percentage of the power to power it to that temperature, that desired temperature. So like on my thermostat, do I use dimming? No, I use pulse. But on the thermostat, you'll see the actual percentage of what power it's using to get it there. And, so say you open the incubator up and, it drops a degree or something like that. It'll use a certain percentage of power to get it back up to that temperature so that it doesn't overshoot. And that's where it's important, because when you have, especially with incubators, when you have a temperature fluctuation is when you can have problems in your babies. And I say that, a lot of people are like, well, this guy, what's he talking about? He had a clutch of shark jaw albinos. That was due to a power outage. I can almost guarantee it. I have like less than a degree of temperature variance in my incubator every day of the year. It doesn't matter what it is, because I use a herpostat on pulse proportional, and I set it to where it's 80%, so it never can give it 100% full power to get back up there, so it doesn't overshoot it. When it gets up to a certain close to that set temperature, it'll kind of back off so that it doesn't overshoot and have these fluctuations, right? So that's why I said that thermostat wouldn't work, and you should get a pulse proportional. I believe you have to look on Reptile Basics. I can't remember which one of the VEs are pulse proportional. Like I said, I'm not really a big fan of those, but herpostat 1, it's like $130. It's so worth it, especially when you're talking about, at the end of the day, you have to think about it like, if something was to happen, what would you have wished you paid, right? What would you have I wish, man, that $200 wasn't nothing. If you're sitting here looking at a burn up snake, or you're sitting here looking at a sick snake because you didn't know the heat source went out, whatever the case may be. So now these thermostats, you say is pretty accurate, and it's true. There's a lot of I was a firm believer in the Inkbird thermostats, and still today, if somebody's like, oh my God, I cannot pay $100 something for a thermostat, I will send them to Inkbird on Amazon, and they've held up well. Even the Wi-Fi ones, you can control it when you're away from the house. I don't really recommend controlling it. It's more of to be able to monitor it as far as being away from the house. But the Inkbirds have been pretty good thermostats for the lower end, in my opinion. So, you got anything to say on that, Gary?
Yeah, I would say take a good long hard think about it, and I would almost guarantee that the Herbstat itself is going to be cheaper than a vet bill if you need
Yeah, for sure.
it. And
Walk cheaper than walking in
like I've
the
got
vet.
the Herbstat 6 on my ARS rack, and I've got one probe running over to my little hatchling rack. But I've got a Herbstat 1 on my incubator and zero issues. Not even a degree, a fraction of a degree fluctuation, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and it's it's one of those things where like I was talking to a buddy of mine, Ross, earlier today, and we were talking about heating and where they are and this and that. Actually, I'm sorry, I was talking to Cody, not Ross. But they the snakes when you have your enclosure and you say, oh, okay, I got a 90-degree hot spot on this side or 89-degree hot spot on this side, and my ambient temperature is 75 or 76. Just because your snake has that hot spot and it's right, and they're not on it, does not mean that there's anything wrong. I was talking to with the guy on one of the podcasts about this. Uh, there's different microclimates in their ecosystem where they live at, and if they feel like being in the cooler end for however how long, then they can do that and be fine, as long as you're within those parameters and the guideline of what's recommended for them. And at this temperature, you're not going to worry about them being too cold and having respiratory infections, or whatever comes along with that, or on this end being too hot, and whatever comes along with that. So as long as you're within those, kind of parameters, you should be good. So I still can't see who this is. Says Facebook user. I feel better knowing that I'm not the only one who gets left on red. I wonder if that's Desiree. So with Facebook, if you're watching it from Facebook, when on top of the link, there is a little hyperlink that you have to click, and then when you click it, it'll say allow StreamYard to use my info or whatever, and that'll get your name to come up beside the Facebook. So it's Levi. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you tuning in. So yeah, Larry, that's the skinny on the thermostats and what I meant by pulse proportional. What you got there, Gary?
I'm trying to. There it is. This is another thing. God, this left to right stuff with the cameras messing with me.
Oh yeah,
but this thing is very important.
Yeah,
it's the Temp Gun, and I had a little cheapie, and I was like, oh, everything's good, everything wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I got a decent one. I didn't go like, I mean, you can go all the way up to $1,000 if you want to.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend that. I think this one was like 100, maybe 120, something like that. But it has never let me down, and that will let you know, no matter what rack setup you got, no matter what, whether you got heat tape, radiant heat panels, whatever, that thing will let you know what you're running at.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people.
That's important to monitor too, because it can change.
Yeah. I often ask people when they message me with questions about temperatures and stuff like that. I'm like, well, what's your hotspot, or what's your temperatures here or there? And they're measuring with a thermometer, digital, like this, right? Like one of these that I got right there. Shit.
Yep.
There it is. Right. And that's just doing your ambient temperature. That's the air temperature around here. But that can be different by very little or a lot than your surface temperature on a hot spot, especially if it's, something radiating on it. So I tell people to get a infrared temperature gun, and most people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then I'll show them links, this and that. I too have the Fluke. Those are a little fancy for most people, but I mean, again, one of those things where it's like, what's $100 temp gun to know where everything is very accurately, and those things are on like the dime. I mean, they are on it. So I definitely think it's worth it, and it's a small, piece of investment when, putting it in the puzzle to get all the pieces together. And also, let's see here. We got Eric's Morph Factory jumping in. What's going on, Eric? So I've got a comment here for you, Gary, and I want to go back. I had Joe hop in here. He was asking me how the been a while since I tuned in. How's the clutches come along? I'm almost done for the season, man. And funny enough, it's gearing back up for 2022. Like I was sitting here thinking about it, and we're jumping right into 2022 season, breedings and pairings and stuff like that. And I had not even thought about the fact that it's like, boom, here, I have a female that I was pairing all last season, and she was showing all the signs of that she was going to be going and never went. And like 3 weeks ago, she stopped eating. I palpated her, huge follicles. So I guess she's going to ovulate and lay some eggs. So that's interesting. That just goes to show that, we can try as we might, but the snakes are going to do what the snakes want to do. We can coerce them the best we can, but ultimately they're in control. So, Gary, we have a question here for you. Joe says, what's the story behind Noodle Ranch? I guess asking how you came up with the name, the Noodle Ranch, or if that has any special meaning.
So as far as the name goes, I wasn't a big fan, but I decided since the old lady she was showing interest and she wanted in on the mix, I thought that would be my best interest. So
Right.
to let her in, and that was the best decision I've made. So we decided, well, everybody does the so-and-so balls or so-and-so pythons or so-and-so reptiles. Everybody does that. So we wanted to do like a more inclusive, like I didn't want to do just balls or ball pythons, because I do also have hognose and I plan on expanding on that a little bit. But
Right.
and I also have other reptiles, but still. We kind of just sat down and kind of went through the list, and everything we would type up, we would type it up, and oh no, taken.
Yeah.
Type it up, oh no, taken. So then I think I was at work, and I was like, well, what else? What other than snakes or reptiles or scales? I was like, well, everybody calls them danger noodles, so
Yeah.
let's just see what noodle has.
Right.
So I looked into all that, and there was a few. There's like I think there was a Noodle Town Morphs or
Yeah,
something.
they're local. She's out of Richmond.
My first name option was Bourbon Ball Pythons.
Yeah.
And your buddy
Too late.
stole it.
Too late.
He didn't steal it.
It's
He had
too
it
late.
first.
It's
And
genius. Genius.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy a snake from him just to have one from Bourbon Ball Pythons.
Yeah.
I love the name, and I saw the podcast with him, and
Yeah.
they look like good people.
Yeah.
So,
They are. definitely. Steve and his wife Allison are real good people.
Yeah.
Like I said, uh, you know, one of my first times meeting Steven, he let me borrow a ARS display, two in fact. It's close to $1,000 worth of display rack. So if that doesn't tell you much about him, now again, I say that with saying what I said then. I definitely showed him that I was worthy of such a task as to walk away with that much in material and be trustworthy enough to bring it back to him in the same condition that I had. But still, a good act of showing how good of people they are. I actually just picked up a snake from them. Beautiful little blackhead girl that is going to be real key to some of my blackhead projects in the future. Um, and they got some nice snakes, some real nice snakes. I was too slow to grab up a black pastel albino male for my albino female, and I should have. I try to limit myself to the projects, and black pastel and albino, and blackhead and albino is one that I definitely want to make um, for sure. That's albinos always do very well. Um, and I love the contrast that black pastel and blackhead add to the albino gene. So, real quick on the infrared temperature gun subject. So, you got the temperature gun, right? Uh, did you set your rack up, temp gun it, and hang it up, and it's there if you need it? Or what's your process? Are you checking once a day? Are you checking twice a week? What do you do with the thing?
I don't check it once a day just because that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
Nobody has time for that. But I do every time I spot clean. So say I feed on a Monday, then I know Monday is probably poop day.
Yeah.
They poop right at a week, give or take a day or two. So anytime I go through and spot clean, I'll clean out all the poop and the urates and all that, and I'll scoop the cocoa back and I'll temp gun it.
Yeah.
And as long as it's all good, I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
If it's, I mean, I can't really say if it's off, then I'll change it because I've never had that problem.
Yeah.
They've always been spot on.
I have, and I'll tell you when you find it to be different. Typically, when you have an increase or decrease in room temperature, you'll see that it's off a little bit. It also can happen if you unknowingly have your probe, which is connected or taped to your heat panel or heat tape, become just a little bit loose, and air now being able to come in between them two. It can be different then, or it could be different if you have that underneath. Because some people, what they'll do is it'll be underneath a tub, but there'll be a snake on it most of the time. Now, let's say that snake is a female who starts cool seeking. Now, although they're cold blooded and they don't produce heat, they go off of that spot, and they still hold heat, right? So if you temp gun it to 90 degrees or whatever, with the snake there, you moved her, you temp gun it, it's 89, 90 degrees, then you put her back there. She just starts to bowl wrap, but you don't temp gun it anymore. You don't take the temperature with the infrared temperature gun, and now your temperature possibly could rise because that snake is not there over the probe to keep that heat in, which would keep the temperature up. And now the thermostat is going to read that it's a little bit lower, so let me crank it up, and it will go past that temperature that is needed to have that hot spot that you desired, right? So I think that at least once a week, it is very safe practices to take your temperature gun, infrared temperature gun, and temp, a couple tubs, one in the top, at the top, one in the middle, one on bottom, I have all my ARSs on zones, all my hatchling racks on individual strips of back heat. I'll do a top tub on the hatchling, a middle tub, and a bottom tub. Literally 5 seconds. 5 seconds. 20 something hatchlings lives at stake if it gets too hot. Now, back heat's a little bit different. There's a lot of people who do back heat just so their snakes can't burn up. But I think that at a certain temperature, being in a 6-quart tub, they can still get really hot. So that's never good. But again, like I said, taking 5 seconds to kind of temp a couple tubs to make sure that you're on point is well worth it. Well worth it. So we got Larry. He was talking to me, messaging me on Facebook, and he sent me pictures. His boa bit itself, and I never had this happen before. But he said, so the other day when I messaged you about my boa biting itself after a meal, he thinks it was from where the prey had bled a little while it was squeezing it. I believe it had a little blood on it. Not sure though. Maybe just a broken snake. So snakes aren't like blood-seeking killing, machines. For the most part, they're not going to strike at something that doesn't have a heat signature. That's why you can take your hook and tap them on the head without them just biting it for no reason. But you do the same thing with your finger, and they'll tag it, right? If you got them pissed off, if you got them in a feeding mode, or they smell rats, right, they're going to tag the first heat signature that they see. And they're cold-blooded, so they don't have a heat signature, or they're not. Well, I mean, I say they don't have a heat signature because if they're on heat, then they will. But they're not gonna look at themselves like a prey. I think that may just be a weird coincidence. I don't know. Have you ever had this happen, Gary?
No, sir. I think that's a fluke.
Yeah.
If it happens again, then I would worry about it, but I don't think it will.
Yeah. Never hurts to.
I'm not a boa expert either. I'm not even a ball python expert, but
it never hurts to give it.
I'm still learning.
Yeah, 48 hours or so after feeding it, maybe even 3 days, and then get them out, give them a quick soak in a bath, and get that all washed off of them, and try again next week. I guess you were feeding frozen thawed. I notice a lot of times where I see blood come. Well, I see blood in my lives too sometimes, depending on how hard they hit it and squeeze it. But he says it was biting the hide as well. Yeah, man. It's hard to tell, what that was about. Some snakes are weird. They do weird stuff. They are individuals, so it's hard to generalize. Go ahead.
Did it injure itself? If you can comment back.
AKA, did you open its mouth and see if there's any teeth broken off or dislodged? And I'm not joking about this. Like this is, if it bit it hard enough, something that probably, depending on if you knew it bit hard enough, you might want to do, because broken off teeth or broken turned sideways could ultimately turn into what do you call it, the abscess or mouth rot, a bunch of different problems that you don't want to have.
Yeah, I can attest to that. You can, I don't know if you can. Which way am I going? Jesus Christ, I can't figure it out.
Got your ups and downs messed up too.
I've got like a little infected spot that it's healing now, but the reason is I got tagged by a little vanilla. He was an asshole from the start. So I raised him up for a little while, and then I figured out that he wasn't really in my breeding plan. So I ended up selling him to a guy in Ashland. But he tagged me, and everything healed up fine except for one little spot, and it never would heal. And I figured it out. It's because he broke one of his little teeth off,
mm-hmm.
and it was in me.
Yeah,
for a while. So,
yeah.
So the teeth can break.
Yeah, that's why I tell a lot of people often, as far as bites go, like it's not it's the shock factor that gets you, but really you don't want to get bit for the snake because it could turn into, I see a lot of people are, and I've told people like you just need to get bit to get it over with, right? But I don't mean like literally go make one bite you because it could harm the snake, and go from just trying to have an experience to now you're having to treat it with anti- antibiotics. Dang, I can't talk tonight. Antibiotics to heal it. So it's definitely something that could go south real quick. Um, but anyway, moving forward, I wanted to touch on as far as like you saying the vanilla wasn't in your breeding plans, and kind of talk about that stuff when it comes to just getting in the hobby. And anybody who's been in this hobby for a while and sets their sights on breeding, you can't even lie that you've not done this at one point. And you just sit there and you scroll on Facebook, you scroll on the local pages, you scroll on what's Craigslist and Morph Market for hours, scouring for this snake or that snake, and you see this combo, and then you're like, okay, I just need vanilla, fire, and super pastel, and now I've got a vanilla screen, right? So you're on Facebook and you see a
Guilty.
vanilla, and you see a vanilla, and you're like, hey, I'm on my way. I want them. You go buy the vanilla male, and then 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, there's a fire male. Let me grab him. Boom. You're on your way. You got that fire male. And then you finally find a pastel or super pastel breeder size female. And you're like, okay, boom, I got all the ingredients. And then you realize 8 months later, when you're ready to put them together, you're like, well, hell, I can't put the fire and the vanilla to her at the same time. Well, which one do I want to do? And then if I don't breed the vanilla or the fire to her, what am I going to do with it? I can't just keep it because at this point, I've got 16 snakes and I'm feeding them every week. And if they're not going to breed for me, and I'm doing this as a business and a hobby, this is not one of the snakes that I want to keep for my forever snake. But I was just trying to get to the snake that I wanted to make, but I need to get rid of him so I'm not, or rehome it so I'm not having to feed the snake and ultimately not do anything else with it other than keep it. And at first, we don't care because it's just one more snake that we get to handle or have and this and that. But then you start getting down to the fine details of what it's costing you weekly to feed them, what it's costing you monthly to do substrate changes, and all that stuff starts to add up, especially after months and months and months of doing that with no return, because this business is not one that you can throw some money at and hope that it's going to boomerang in 2 months back to you. I don't know where you're at as far as money wise, but it's at least going to be 2 seasons before I'm completely in the green on everything that I've invested. But I'm okay with that, because honestly, if I don't stop buying snakes, then it may be longer. But at this point, in this juncture, I can see it happening, and not this next season, but the season after. And that's most people. They'll tell you that it's a couple years if you invest good and hard, and then some decent projects at least. It may be a little while before you see returns. It's not a short sprint. It's definitely a marathon to get to. There's no finish line. This hobby is limitless, literally. Do you have something you want to say?
My opinion on that is that if you're getting in it for the money, go ahead and get out.
Yeah.
Because
Only
you're gonna
for
put a whole lot more money in it in the beginning than you're ever gonna see back.
yeah.
Like people call me crazy. I ain't gonna throw specific numbers, but people call me crazy because they're like, well, how much was this and how much was that, and at the end of the day, I'm probably somewhere between 15 and 30,000,
Yeah.
probably in there, in that ballpark range, invested. And people call me stupid for that.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason they call me stupid is because it's snakes. I
Right.
mean, nobody cares. Nobody even shakes their head at somebody paying 30,000, 40,000 for a bass boat,
Mm-hmm.
and that's their hobby. How much money are they going to make out of that?
Yeah.
And I don't look at it as a business. I look at it as a hobby that will eventually, it ain't yet, but eventually sustain itself. If it
Yeah.
if it if it can afford its own food and afford its own replacement snakes and just not take it out of my family's mouth, just
Yeah.
if it's a hobby that can just sustain, then
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine. I don't ever plan on being the next Justin Kabalka. I would love to.
You
I
won't
love the
catch
guy.
up, man.
He's like my freaking hero.
You won't
But
catch up.
I'll
He's too.
never be JKR.
Yeah.
Nobody will. 'Cause,
No. And there's a lot of spots for you know more Aussie boys, more Justin Kabelkas, um, and even a lot of the ones that people don't talk about, the breeders that are doing crazy things. It's like I talked with Courtney. There's this guy David Exeros or something on Facebook. I don't even know if this dude's got any social media, but when I tell you that he has some fire, off the wall, crazy stuff that would make your jaw drop. I mean, like stuff I ain't even never seen before, man. Just outrageous. And that's just one. There's plenty of people doing stuff like that. They don't care to put it out there on social media. They don't care to um, have anybody know what they're working on. Um, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, I just feel like when you do have a social media presence, it's a lot easier to sell snakes because this day and age we have a high presence of scammers. So when somebody's able to look you up and tell that you're legit and be able to go back and see mom and dad, you paired mom and dad, oh, you had these eggs, then you watched them pip. They get to see the backstory and the journey of that baby. And a lot of times, most of the people that we'll be selling snakes to are pet owners. Um, until you get into, you know, most of the snakes that you're trying to hold back are what people want to buy, for as far as their breeders, but there's a whole bunch of different levels to it. Um, somebody who's been breeding for 3 or 4 years is going to be producing babies that somebody their first or second year, being in it, buying one from them, uh, they're going to be saying, this is a killer pickup to, further my projects, this and that, and be ecstatic. And then that person that sold that baby that's in 3 or 4 years, they're picking up snakes from people who's been in it, 8 or 9 years. And it's a double het recessive, like het DG, het hypo, with a codom or two, and it's just the next level up. You know what I mean? So there's definitely levels to this, and don't chase anybody's dream because you won't be able to catch up. But you can definitely create your own because there are thousands and thousands of different ways of being successful in this hobby. Now, you said that this is just a hobby for you. Um, and at first it was for me too, and then it kind of transitioned into a business hobby, um, and it'll always be a business hobby for me because for it to make sense I have to keep a business mindset about it. But I don't think that I would be where I'm at or see my future in this if it wasn't a hobby and I didn't enjoy it. So I never want to make it to where it's like, so I don't know, business not fun. I mean, I don't know. There's a bunch of people who like they just eat, sleep, and breathe business and money and everything like that. And they feel like it doesn't matter what it is, I'll do it if I make money. But that's not true. Uh, there's a lot of people who wouldn't, shovel poop for the same amount of money that they get uh, being a lawyer or, whatever the case may be. So you definitely, in this case, in this hobby, you have to at least enjoy the hobby of, snake keeping, reptiles, and stuff like that. It's not to say that, because I do know some pretty nasty breeders out there that are making money hand over fist. And I don't know how they're not at this point, but there's a bunch of people that will tell you don't buy from them. They're disgusting, or they have this disease in their collection, or they say snakes with mites, or this or that, or this and that. And hopefully you're one of those people who don't buy from them before you find that out. But at the end of the day, it boils down to less customers that they could have had if they actually took pride in what they do and enjoyed it, right? So you just had some hatchlings, right?
Yep.
So what's
I had 2 clutches.
okay? What you hatching out over there?
So first clutch was a pairing. I've got a bunch of mutt clutches. Is it like we talked about, beginner mistakes?
Yeah.
So I paired my GHI female to a crystal, which for those that don't know is a Mojave Special elite combination.
Yeah. Act like super ALS.
Yep.
Right.
So I paired them, and then my crystal ended up getting a tooth infection. So we got the infected tooth out. I gave him shots for a while, but he was out of rotation for a little while. Mm-hmm. So I ended up, I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't want to throw him back in there because he's not feeling good. I wouldn't want to do it if I had a toothache.
Right.
So then I threw my banana male in with her. So I ended up getting a split clutch. I killed the odds on the genetics. I ended up with 4 GHI Mojaves, 1 being a female, 3 males, and I ended up with a single gene special and a banana GHI.
Okay.
Which I'm holding back the female GHI Mojave and the banana GHI, and the rest are for sale. So I think you're getting one of them, and our buddy Chris Martin, he's getting one of them, and the rest are available.
Nice.
Well, they're not available yet. They're still. I got to get them some food in them, but they'll be available.
Yeah, and that's real good odds. Real good odds for the GHI Mojaves.
Yeah. Then the second clutch was a pastel female to another mistake I made is buying stuff from people that don't know what they're doing. So when you're beginning and don't know what you're doing, do not buy stuff from other people that don't know what they're doing, because it's a mess. So I ended up with I had a pastel female, which I know for a fact that she was good because she came from this one guy that I know for male.
Oh, me? No, me?
Yep. Yeah, you. She came from you, and she was fine. She was perfectly healthy. And so was the other one. He was perfectly healthy, but he was sold as a pastel yellow belly.
Yeah.
Don't think there's yellow belly in it.
Yeah.
You've seen him. You don't think there is.
I get it. A lot of people don't understand what yellow belly looks like, and it's a very subtle gene. And if you see a snake that literally has yellow coming up its sides from the belly, the Joe Schmo that you bought it from, Billy Bob said that it's got yellow on the bellies. It's got to be yellow belly. And then Joe Schmo that you bought it from sold it to you. Say, oh, yeah, I bought it as pastel yellow belly. So, and Joe Schmo looked up on Morph Market. The pastel yellow bellies are going for, 300. Pastels, 100, 150. So you overpaid, but it's all good and fun and experience because it sharpens your eye on what to look for, because you look at your snake every day and you're like, man, that's a nice looking pastel yellow belly. That's a nice looking pastel yellow belly. And then you're on World of Ball Pythons or Facebook or whatever the case may be, and somebody's like, yeah, I just had a clutch, got a pastel yellow belly and a pastel, and you're like, wait a minute, show me that again. And then you look, so what am I seeing here? Because that don't look like mine. But there's also polymorphism, which means that you can have two different super pastels that don't look exactly the same, or two different pastels that don't look exactly the same. I've seen browned out, my wife calls them light skin normals, browned out pastels that, aka light skin normal ball pythons, that look like normals, and then highlighter yellow pastels that are nothing more than pastels. And it just boils down to quality. So that's why everyone says if you buy quality, then you'll put out quality. And that's another thing that you will find when you first get in and you want to buy breeder females, or you want to buy breeders or males or whatever the case may be, or I only have this to work with, that you're only going to get this to work with type snakes, these type of lower quality animals. You'll quickly find out that it's a lot better to buy a $500 high quality 2-gene female than it is to buy 5 $100 poop quality 1-gene or 2-gene females, because you're just not gonna you're not gonna put out quality if you don't have quality in. So and I've made that mistake. I've bought snakes that I was like, well, it has this 1 gene in it that I need. I don't really care for the look at it, but it's an adult, so it doesn't look as good as it should. But at the same time, see another one that's the same age, same weight, and it looks way better, but it also is better quality. Now, you also have genes that influence it, like Het Clown. I don't think I've seen anything that Het Clown didn't make look better, or genes like Yellow Belly, in my opinion, that make everything look better. A lot of people don't like messing with yellow belly because it can create ivory, but I mean, ivories are beautiful. Same thing with bells and the bell complexion. Those are some of the best selling snakes as far as pet wise. People love a white snake, a black snake, or cream colored snake. You know what I mean?
Super forms are the way to go. If you're
Sorry.
getting in.
I'm sorry, that was extremely loud.
That was rude, bro.
I said sorry, man. I apologize. This third or fourth time now.
I am actually getting ready to request you to get caught up on your comments while I go take care of all this water that I've been ingesting. I will be right back in about 25 seconds, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sorry. My wife just texted me and said the HVAC unit's leaking water in the floor.
Oh, that's cool. I'll be right back.
She acts like I'm some type of maintenance technician or something. Call the maintenance guy. I don't want to deal with that stuff. I do maintenance all day. Call the repair guy. So, I see we got some people in here. If y'all just stopped in, let me know that you're there. I don't know what comments he talking about getting caught up on. I was on your comments, Larry, and I talked about those. And yeah. Talked about the thermostats. I missed this one. Larry, your wife, you ended up getting her the parakeet. You're crazy, man. Them things are loud. Justin said, I remember when it came out of the egg. That's about when me and you first met, talking about Cleptopatra, the 8-ball. Yeah, man, she was pretty insane when she first came out. I wish this calico clutch was shed out. I'd show you them, but they're in full blown shed. Let me grab that 8-ball because I know that I think it was either Larry or BJ had asked about that last time, and I wasn't able to show her. But hold on real quick. All right. So this is my 8-ball female. Her name is Winona. So if you have watched, let's see here, what's it called? Justified. That's where I got the name from. But she's really nice. Born in January, or hatched out January. She's probably up to, I don't know, 400 grams or so. I don't know if you call these, I guess it's paradoxin on the side right there. I see a lot of them have it. Nice white bellies. But she's real nice. What's going on, Lekka? Asking if we talked about future projects. We did not. We had not talked about that. I've kind of been really focusing and asking him and talking and discussing about more of the beginner, basic questions as getting into the ball python breeding hobbies and his experiences covering stuff about racks, thermostats, snakes now at this point where we're talking about buying quality versus quantity and having lower quality snakes. Now,
What is that?
This is a black rat snake.
Oh, that's awful.
It's Dave. It's your
You should
sister.
sell it to me for $10.
Yeah, it's your girl's sister. No, she ain't going nowhere. But this I was telling Miss Winona. You ever watch Justified?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I got her name from. But huh?
Oh, you go ahead. I'm just adjusting the camera.
We had a comment jump in here. GP, you said you just got another stat. What thermostat did you go with? We got Lekka here, and they had asked if we talked about your future projects. So, you want to put some information out there on some of your future projects? What are you excited about working with? What do you got coming down the pipeline? I know you got some females that aren't ready to go just yet, but going to be coming up pretty soon. I see a whole lot of pink tags back there. I know you got a nice pied female that I wish I had.
I was trying to get my...
Hey, GP, you see me? Got that GP snakes.
Where's my shirt?
Hey, I ain't got it. I ain't. Oh, Teesprings at gp.com.
Really? I will be on there as soon as we get off here. I want one. Give me just a second, and I'll grab my whiteboard down, and we'll go over my future pairings.
Damn, my Burmese just tried to strike me through the glass as I was walking by.
I don't blame him. I'd try to screw you up too, but
no, but seriously, he's got a Teesprings account. Just go in there and look up. I think you just look up GP snakes, and he's got them. My man's got them in every color of the rainbow. If it's a recessive and he's got it in his collection, he's got it. I got the genetic stripe. I think he's got clown and albino. Genius, just flat out genius. Like I was like, man, this is awesome. I need to make my snakes and the ones that I got in my collection. But it didn't work out like that.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I've had some remorse. Like I know the Noodle Ranch, the logo and everything. I was trying to be inclusive with the family and all that, but there's a little bit of remorse. I'm like, I want to change it, but I'm a little too far in now. But it is what it is.
It's never too late, man. That's the beautiful thing about this hobby. There's no certain set of instructions. You can make the new set instructions. You can make it to where the new thing is to have a rotating, name. The first 6 months they're this. Next 6 months you're this. Back to the first. It
Well,
ain't. It's just it's like you said. It's you want it to be fun and it's a hobby for you. I'm showing off this blackhead yellow belly female right here, who's also
yeah, that's garbage. You ought to
it's
sell it to me for $10.
always trying to get the $10 snakes.
No, that's sexy, man. You sent me the picture of that, and I was like, I want it. But I'm glad you got it.
Shameless plug. He's got one more of these females left. Yeah, he does. They look the same, but mine looks better. I don't know if you understand. So you got a herp one. Them herp stats, man, that's where it's at for sure. Were you saying something?
You're breaking up, bro.
I'm breaking up. Am I glitching? Can you hear me?
Yeah, your video's froze. Man.
Dang. Boys must be on the they must be on the Fortnite again. Is GP, everybody in the comments, can y'all see me okay? Let's see if she'll sit there. GP
there you go. You're good now. Yeah. It was just a little moment.
I wonder if it's not your phone. But can you see me fine? My wife just messaged me and said I can hear you fine. Can you see me? GP says he can see me. All right, Gary must be on your end. No glitching or lagging. That's on you, bro. Android.
Hey, don't you cuss me.
Huh?
Don't you cuss me like that.
Let me not talk too much smack.
Hey, GP Snakes, I need you to get my back here, bro.
GP's in here.
Android.
Look, I was messaging him earlier and was asking him what he does for his thumbnails because he's always pushing me to put out some more content for my YouTube channel. And he had sent me an app that he used, and he was like, "Well, but I'm Android," and I was like, "Yeah, man, I don't think that I can use those. I'm gonna have to put this girl up because she's about to tag me in my face.
So you got to pay like $500 to use anything.
Hold on, real quick. This hatching's about to hit me in my face. Chill, girl. Where's my dang hook at? Let's see if y'all can see this, man. Nope, y'all not gonna be able to see it. Hold on, let me get this girl up because she's fired up. She's keyed in on me hard.
Boy. Hope she bought you.
Did you hear that knock?
No.
Burns over here tagging the enclosure. He never does that. I don't know what that's about.
Feed me, Dad.
Nah, he just ate 3 days ago. Can't be hungry. GP
I gotta stop you, bro. I gotta stop you.
What's up?
We gotta go back.
Okay.
We didn't answer her question. She asked about future parents.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've got, as far as my future parents, this is the list, but I'll read through them. I've got a Firefly female that is going to my super inchy pastel yellow belly male And I've got a GHI Mojave female that is going to my crystal male. I've got a cinnamon female that is going to the super inchy pastel yellow belly male. I've got a black pastel pied female that is going to a normal pied male. So I couldn't find a black pastel pied male that was in my budget. So then I've got my GHI female that's going back to my crystal again. And I've got a pinstripe that is either Mojave or Mystic that is going to my crystal, and that should prove her out. So if I get super Mojaves, then I know that it's a pinstripe Mojave. Yep. If I get Mystic Potions, then I know it's a pinstripe Mystic. So that's all I've got this year or this season.
That black pastel pied female going to your pied male.
Yep.
I need some pied in my collection. If you don't hold back every single female that comes out of there. So
have you got any pied males?
No, but I'm okay with that, because what I would do is get females and raise them up. So this hypothetically, let's talk about this, right? Because this is something that, a lot of people, being that we've been talking about a lot of stuff, getting into the hobby and stuff like that, where people would say, oh, here's a pied male, $350, let me get him. Or here's a pied yellow belly or fire pied male for $450, let me get him. And they get these, and then they say, well, I need a female. Well, by the time it's been a year, and their pied males are 500 and 600 grams, or whatever the case may be, and they go to get a female, and they're still having to wait 2 or 3 years to breed her. So my thinking is if I know I want to make pied ultra male, wait for a pied het ultra male female to come available, grab her. If I know I know I want to make Orange Dream yellow belly pieds, wait for a yellow belly pied female to come available in my price range and that I like, it's nice quality, grab her. And by the time that several of those combos, I get a pied het DG female or a pied het clown female, whatever the case may be, by the time that those girls are rounding their second winter or their second, year, full calendar year, I can at that point look to buy a male that either has all the genes that I need in it, or multiple males, kind of getting, males that can service multiple one of those pods females. But you hear people talk about this all the time. Buy your females first, buy your males later. But also because your males can service females that you may not know that you have yet, or that you're going to have, or going to produce, or whatever the case may be. But you don't want to wait till the last minute to buy your males, and then not have them ready in time for that season, or the females that you want, and then you're either not going to breed those females that season because you don't want to just breed them to anything, and you rather let them have the year off and bulk them up, or you're going to breed them to something that is not really breeding them for what you want to see. You're hoping, to have the combo come out, or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of like what my thinking on it. Mo Z says, should I do a Orange Dream OD Highway to a pastel inchy ivory, or should I do a OD Highway to a yellow belly pied? So, I mean, that's all about who you ask. A lot of people will say that inchy yellow belly and Orange Dream are freaking made for each other, like me. And then there's other people who don't really care for inchy OD yellow belly combos. This is one of those things where it's like, say you didn't want to buy any more pods and you wanted to make your own hets. It's one of the questions I asked. Do you like to buy your own hets or make your own hets? Where if you wanted to make more pods, you could breed that OD highway to the pod, the yellow belly pod, and everything's going to be 100% het pod. You know that for a fact. So, I mean, that's kind of OD highway. That's a nice snake. I would go with the inchy ivory, but that's just me. But you're also going to get ivories that could be orange dream or inchy orange dream. And I don't know how that's going to work out. With that, I've not looked into that too much. When it comes to my like yellow belly to yellow belly pairings, you want to have as many or at least genes as possible in the pairing, unless you're doing it for like a visual recessive, like somebody who wants to see a full clutch of yellow belly desert ghosts or yellow belly clowns. It makes sense to pair a ivory to a clown, a fire clown, and everything comes out yellow belly 100% het clown or yellow belly fire 100% het clown. But it definitely boils down to like your future breeding plans. You don't want to make one of those pairings for like what would be the better clutch or anything like that, because I mean, at the end of the day, some people would say either way you go is going to be killer. What you think, Gary?
I think it depends on your goal.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to lean more towards the pods, then I would go with the pod and just make a het army.
Yeah.
And then breed back to it. But then you're looking at at least a 3-year project.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably 4 to 5 year project.
That's assuming everything goes to plan and all those snakes get with the program and don't miss a meal and know their role. And it don't always happen that way. So April says she has a leopard spot nose male coming tomorrow for your Batman project. You're excited. So when is it leopard spot nose? That's it. That's only codoms. Is he het clown? And when you say that, is the plan to put him into a clown female, or because there's a lot of ways of going about that. So he is het clown. Okay. So what else is Batman just leopard spot nose? I'm not real versed on the Batman combos, all that. Corey, what's going on?
Batman is leopard spot nose clown, I think.
Yeah, but I thought it was something else.
It might be.
I keep wanting to say red stripe, but I don't think it's red stripe.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. So what's your plans for that, April? What are you putting?
I watched so much of JKR stuff.
Yeah, Lekka says it is just leopard spot nose clown. But yeah, I've got Cypress and Ultramel and Orange Dream that I want to put into clown. So many. And at first I was not even trying to get into clown at all because it's just there's so many people in it. It's ridiculous. We got Fable Creations in the building. Mike Kano. My guys.
What's up, Kano?
Putting out straight heat. Like
I've got a couple of his in here.
Yeah. He's got
stuff.
He's got some,
and he's a good support group too. Like if you have any questions, any issues, He
Yeah,
don't care to answer them, and
for sure.
that means a lot when
For
you're
sure.
buying a living creature.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to talk to its daddy,
Yep.
and he's a good daddy to talk to.
Oh yeah. And it goes a long way when you're able to message people and get real down to earth, trusted answers from people that have insane collections like he does, with years of work put into it. Um, a lot of times you'll find that those people they're kind of beat down with all those questions because they've been, just hammered and hammered and hammered from people, and they're just kind of like tired of the newbie people getting in. But the people who realize that people getting in it are the future, are the people that will say, and not just doing it for that reason, because if I don't help this person out just getting in, then they're not gonna buy a snake from me or anything like that. But truly wanting to grow the community and be helpful to one another, because you know this is what you should do, versus I'm gonna turn my nose up to that person because they don't have a freaking clue what they're doing, and it's not worth my time. And I don't owe them nothing. This and that. Uh, you'll find those people, but that's in everything. That's how it goes.
Yeah,
So.
it's kind of like with Justin Kavalka. He's got them Wookiee clowns and all that
Mm-hmm.
crazy stuff that you probably can't touch one of those snakes for less than $3,000 to $4,000. And you're
What? 3 to 4? You mean 8 to 9? Wookie clown? Shoot.
well, I was being optimistic,
Yeah, you being real optimistic. Real
but
optimistic. That's
you
all right.
can't
I'm sorry.
touch them
I didn't
for
mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
you can't touch any of his high end stuff for less than 1,000
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And ain't nobody paying that for a pet.
No.
So
Well,
your customers,
somebody will.
somebody might,
We
but
do. We
I
do
mean,
have. We have these.
you're talking about high end people
Yeah.
that might be buying it for a pet, but the majority of the people that are buying those are breeders that
Mm-hmm.
plan on breeding them to make more.
Yeah.
So, so like discouraging other breeders, that's shooting yourself in the foot because eventually those are your customers.
Yeah.
Just like just like me, I've bought from other breeders, you included. I brought from Kano. I've bought a couple offline. I've almost all of mine, except for the first few, have came from breeders,
Yeah.
and they sell them to me, and I'm going to breed them and make more, and hopefully sell them to other breeders.
Yeah.
Because your paycheck snakes like bananas, a couple $100, or GHI Mojaves, $200 or $300, maybe four. Those are going to be pets most of the time. But your
Yeah.
high end stuff, like my big project right now is, I mean, it's a long project, but
Yeah.
eventually it's going to be Panda Pie,
Right.
and I don't care if the price is dropped to $150 for them at the
Yeah.
time. I just want to make one.
Yep.
That's just my thing.
Yeah.
So, but if it does end up sticking around that same price, if I make a Panda Pie and it's $3,000 or $4,000, then my customer is going to be another breeder. So
Yeah.
not helping each other out is shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's the beauty of it. I mean, it's a community. We all help each other because in the end, we all help each other. Like I help you become successful because when you're successful, then you buy from me, and I'm successful, and it's just a big circle, and
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yep. This is true.
It's really the only business that I can think of that you build up your competition.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never hesitated in helping somebody. And I mean, I tell you all the time, man, like stick with it, and you're gonna do good things. And I mean this, like when I tell everybody, like you're gonna do good. You want them to do good, and it's I mean it, because I generally mean it. But it's like you said, it's unlike any other hobby that you can be in. Well, at least that I know of or that I've been in, where you want other people to do good. You want other people to be successful and stay in it and to be in the runnings with you, right? Um, it's
You want
funny.
other breeders to be successful because, well,
Yeah,
for one, we all kind of love each other.
yeah,
We all look at each other's stuff and be
community.
like, "Oh, wow, he's creating good stuff."
Yeah,
And in the grand scheme, we're all each other's customers.
right.
Like I've bought from Kano, I've bought from you, and I'm hoping. Well, I think I've already got one sold to you.
Yeah,
Hoping eventually I might come up with some quality that Kano might like,
yeah.
and want to be one of his suppliers
It's
and
a
so on and
chain.
so forth. You want the circle to keep going,
Yeah, for sure.
and it's kind of a double edged sword because you see all this stuff on Facebook. I love and hate Facebook because you get in these groups and then you get all these little Tom and Jerry's that want to act like they know everything and run everybody down and talk down and you should be using this, should be doing that. And that's not how you do it.
Yeah.
Like offer help, but don't degrade people because we've all been there. I've started. Oh,
Hmm.
it was awful.
Yep.
It was terrible. When I look back, there's actually a video on YouTube. I ain't gonna point you all in the direction because I'm embarrassed, but
DM me for info. I said DM me for info. I got it.
there's a video on Facebook of me probably 12 to 13 years ago with it was a pet ball python, and I was taking it out of its enclosure to feed it
He was.
in a little bitty freaking shoebox tube or tub,
He didn't want it
and
to
I
bite
was
him,
feeding it
folks.
a rat that was way too big, and I didn't care about the temperature. It just had a heat light. Then at night, that light got turned off. I didn't have any heat on it at night, and it was room temp. It was pitiful.
Yeah.
Looking
We
back, I feel so bad for that snake because I didn't do it justice at all.
we've
But we've
go ahead.
all been there. And
Exactly.
if there's anybody out there that says that they haven't made mistakes like that, then they're lying. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't buy nothing from them because they're just bullshit.
Yeah. They may not have made the same mistakes, but they've definitely made mistakes in some fashion, some way, form that they
Yep.
can't, lie to themselves and say that I didn't know this at that juncture. Because
If
you
you
just don't
haven't made
know it all.
any, if you haven't made any mistakes, then you're just now beginning and you're following it from the book that you read.
Yeah. Or you are literally walking in the footsteps of a great mentor and you are a protege. Because I guarantee you that anybody who um, walks in, Ozzy Boyd's facility right now and becomes his protege, um, and he commits to that, he's going to tell them how to do everything that he knows how to do right, and they just they fall in the footsteps of someone great. So we have a question here. April says that she has those in the cooker. Did your black pastel het pied to black pastel het pied lay eggs? So Mosey says when the term breed it back, are you referring to breed it back to the parents? You want to answer this?
Yeah. Yes. If you're trying to prove something out, then yes, breed it back to its parents. But I don't.
Are you saying when you're trying to prove something out in the mom or dad?
Yeah. If you're like for instance, if you're running a Dinker project and you are trying to prove something out, then you breed it back to the parent to see if it's allelic or if it's a
Yeah,
recessive, or to
you'd
see
have.
if you can reproduce that snake
Yeah,
or a super form of that snake.
yeah. That's being a given that you know which parent it came from. Like the mom was weird looking or the dad was weird looking because it could be from either one of those. Um, But yes, most of the time when someone refers to breed it back, they are saying breed it back to that specific parent or breed it back to one of the parents. Most of the time, it's a son back to the mom because, I mean, we as humans and people are just impatient. So, but in this game, you learn to be patient, and there's a lot of people who have so much going on that 2 years will fly by and they'll stock a girl up in the racks. Next thing you know, they're talking about 2 years ago I hatched a snake. This year I get to prove it out. Um, I can't wait for that. I think that's going to be the coolest thing. I haven't gotten to a point of having a snake that I hatched out that reached breeder size, so I think that's going to be pretty awesome. So she
That,
said that. Go ahead.
that's one big thing is like people talk about, oh, you don't want to breed the parents back to the inbred and line breeding and all that. But if you look back, I forget who it was. It was either Billy at Mutation Creation or it was JKR or one of those. I was watching YouTube videos just the other night and they made a really good point. It might have been Chris Hardwick, but you want to frown upon line breeding or breeding back to the parents. But if you look back, every pod in this world came from one guy, one pod parent. Every pod in this world is related back to that. So if you breed it back to another pod, then you're breeding it to its sibling or its cousin or something.
Yeah.
Same thing with bananas. Bananas started with one snake and it got bred back and finally made more and it got proved out to be codom and or dominant and I mean
It's codon. Incomplete dominant. It's got a super form.
yeah,
Yeah. It's all good. It's
I
all,
kind of frown upon that though.
you kind of
That's
what?
just, I kind of frown upon it.
Upon what? The super banana?
The super banana.
That is one super form that I'm just like, why? It doesn't do anything for me, but that's me. That's me. Some people are just like, but I love banana, so that is a male, everything's gonna be banana. I mean,
I love banana too, and I've got some in my incubator right now that's getting ready to go into the hatchling rack. But at the end of the day, you breed a banana to a banana, and you get a super banana, and it just looks like a light colored banana. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's nothing special about it. I mean, yeah, of course, if you breed it to a normal, then you're going to get it bananas. But I
What's
don't
going
know.
on? What's going on, Flex and Pythons? Thanks for tuning in.
Lexon, I watched your video on your reaction to Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles.
He's got another one up, man. You behind the curtain. You got to catch up. He's doing these reaction videos.
Bro, I can't keep up. Third
Marty
shift got me in trouble.
Prather, there with Mainstream Morph, says his greatest mentor has been breeding for 30 years and says he's still learning, and this is the truth. And
Justin Kabalka,
nope,
prime example.
Oh, I
He
thought you were saying
will
that's his mentors.
wholeheartedly he will wholeheartedly tell you that there's, like, if people say, well, everything's been done with that gene. No.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's no gene out there that everything has been done with it. Keep pushing. There's room to go with everything, and he's still learning as well. If you're
So
not learning, then you're failing. That's just a truth.
yes, this is true. Flexing, I was trying to read through your comments here. It says, I just remember if it's KD recessive or not. It is not Kevin Durant. I'm a little confused, but did you see it? Am I
No,
just can't read?
I can't
Dyslexia.
see nothing unless you put it up on
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So, because the
Um,
last time I hit the chat thing, it backed me completely out. So I'm leaving stuff alone.
yeah, I got you. April says they had to assist feed one of their hatchlings. That always sucks. I hate assist feeding. I hate force feeding. I hate to have to feed hatchlings anything other than throwing it in there and letting them do what they do, because it's always a bad experience for them. And I never know if it's going to be one of those things where, like, next time I offer them food, they'll take it right away, or it'll be a situation like Clefto, where for 4 months on and off, she wants to be assist fed. I'll take it by myself this week. Nah, I'll take it. I'm not going to do that no more. And then go back to it. Okay, Flexen said autocorrect put KD when I meant, and Kevin Durant goes by KD. I got you. I got you. Disregard me. I got you, brother. So, next question, man. And after that, we're going to kind of try to wrap it up. But what is some common husbandry mistakes that you see, or feeding mistakes that you see in ball python breeders and keepers that you could say is should be done differently or is just flat out wrong? Because I do think that there's multiple ways of doing one thing, and that's why I asked this question. Because sometimes people will say the same thing, but they say that it should be done this way, and it's a different way than I feel, or maybe somebody that we're watching is feel that it should be done.
My biggest thing with that is if you say that well, that way is wrong or my way is right,
Yeah.
then you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's multiple ways to do it. Like, I feed live. I want to switch over just for the convenience thing, but like, I feed live right now, and a lot of people say that that's wrong.
Yeah.
And those people are wrong because there's no right way to do everything.
Yeah. It's whatever works
But
for you.
there is a wrong way to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeding live and you just throw a rat in there and you just forget about it, then yeah, that's wrong.
Yep.
Because that snake might not eat it. And
Yep.
then that rat's hungry. It's going to eat that snake.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on your mindset, because, like frozen thaw, that is the safest option.
It's
But
also not natural. Yeah.
It's not natural at all. They're not used to that. Yeah, you can switch them over to that, but that's not what they're used to.
Right.
So if we want to go with all natural, then we're going to all feed African soft furs.
Right.
And as well as I do, here in Kentucky, we can't do that.
Right.
If we do, we get stuck with a fine if we get busted for 100 or 200 per rat that we get caught with. We can't do that.
Right.
So, like, these rats that we're feeding, that's not natural either.
Yeah.
But live is the most natural thing. But it's not always the best thing, because there is injuries that can happen. You can, if you just throw a live rat in there, the snake gets it, and you're like, oh, yep, it's done. Then you come back 2 hours later, yeah, the snake has ate the rat, but the rat has taken 3 or 4 chunks out of that snake. And what have you gained? You've got a snake that's hurt, but you have it's fed.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on where you're at and how big you are. Like Billy at Mutation Creations, he feeds only live because he's got thousands. He don't have time or the resources to do frozen thawed. So he does live, but he's on it. He throws them in. He goes back and checks.
He has a program for reassuring that no rats are left in there to bite the snake, injure the snake, or anything like that. Which I have found that will only happen after a very long time of them being in there. I'm not gonna lie and say that I have fed and then came back the next morning. I fed at night and then came back the next morning, walking out of the door at 6 a.m. and still seeing the rat, and was like looking at the snake, looking at the rat, like, you're about to eat it. You're about to tag it right now. I shouldn't have opened this door. Should not have opened the tub. Let me close you back up. I go to work and I come back and there's nothing has happened to the snake. The snake has not been bit. The rat's over in this little corner, scared to death, because the snake's probably bopped it a couple times. And I'll take the rat and put it back, or try to feed one of the others that didn't eat that week or something like that. And I've never had a snake or a rat bite any of my snakes, like come in there and it chumped out. And people say all the time that it happened. I left it in there overnight. I know it's one of those things where it's like, well, just because it hasn't happened to you doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. But if I had to say why that happens, I'd have to say it's because the snake or the rat, your feeder was not properly fed or hydrated before you got it, or before it went into your tub enclosure, whatever you might have it. And there's probably some people that say, well, I raised these rats and it did that, or whatever the case may be. Then, I mean, maybe I've just been super lucky, and that I should never let them stay in there more than a couple of hours or something like that. But I'll let them stay in there overnight, depending on. I try to feed all of my snakes that are on anything bigger than smalls, like fresh killed or frozen thawed. But I haven't always, and I have left mediums in there and came back. The snake was fine. There was no bites taken out of it, nothing like that. Did you have something you was about to say?
Yeah, I was just grabbing the camera here. So what I do is I throw in a live rat. I wait a few seconds, and if it doesn't take it right away, which most of the time it does, but if it doesn't, then I will just
flip the tab up.
Wow.
You just launch it just like that, huh? Okay.
Yeah, just like that. Now, let me find you. There,
Try it again. Try it again.
There we are. I'll just flip that tab up.
All right. We got
and
you.
that lets me know that there's a rat in there and it hasn't eaten. So a little bit later,
back me up.
I'll come back and check.
You're making me dizzy. Back me up a little bit. I'm just messing with you. See, but I can't do that because I have clips. There's another tip. You can take his tip or you can take my tip, whichever one you want to do. I have clips that let me know that there's a male. So when I move a male, I take the clip and I'll say I move this fire web male and I put them with the cinnamon Mojave pastel. I'll put the tag on here. And I know exactly where my males are in the rack. So when I see coming through here and I'm busy in the morning or I'm busy in the afternoon or whatever, and I know that, I put it in on such and such date and I come through and I see the tag, I'm like, oh, I didn't move that male back. And what I've even started doing is moving my tag with it for the snake like this. Putting the tag on it like that. So it's even more of a visual cue to me to be able to get that male out. As far as the rats go, I very rarely have times where they don't eat it right away, and if they do, then I've got the little. This is another reason why ARSs are nice because you can magnetize everything, magnet strips, and I'll put these little rat tags on top of it. But if you see rat, you know there's rat. Plain and simple. Come back and check for that rat. And until that rat's gone, this tag doesn't leave. You keep it on top of there. So his way works. My way works. Multiple ways of doing it. Same goal.
Way for everybody, and you got to figure out what works for you. That's just like you were talking about your little clips let you know where your males are.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is this. And a lot of that comes down to I don't have that many.
Right.
I've got 3 males in rotation right now, and I've got 7 females. So this is easy to keep up with. So when I've got my male in there, I just move his tag, which I've got them labeled pink and blue, so I know what's what.
Yeah.
And so now I know that that female is in with that male, and they're in this tub. And then tomorrow, I'll move him back to his tub and just carry on with the rotation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's hundreds of different ways to do what we do successfully, and there's no absolute only way or right way to do it. But a lot of people argue that there.
Just stay on top of it.
Yeah, and that's basically what it boils down to is being on top of your game, being on top of your stuff. You should know what you've paired that snake to. At some point, there should be record keeping. If you're going to be in this business and trying to have customers that like to buy snakes from you, and they're going to expect a certain level of professionalism. If you can't, tell them, well, this could be it, or this could be it, or you can ID the snakes, then there's a little bit of schooling that you need to do on yourself before you start just wanting to rake in all the cash that everybody's after. So Marty says
you can never have too much schooling.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep learning, no matter what no matter how big and bad you think you are, keep learning. That's my thought.
Speaking of, I got a quiz that's due at midnight, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up not too long here. Marty has a question about the Stormtrooper. You know what the Stormtrooper is?
Yeah.
So he says, has anybody heard the genes that make up the Stormtrooper? Last I heard, it hasn't been released. I don't think they know. I don't think that they know. Yeah.
There's no Xanthic in it. I know that.
No, there is Xanthic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is shit. Is it TSK? What's the other one? Seriously.
I was thinking it wasn't like it was like a hit. It wasn't even paired to another TSK, right?
No, it's a visual Xanthic. I do know that. JD, yeah, thank you. Yes, TSK. Okay. Appreciate it, Mike. JD from JD Constrictors, is that it? Was that who produced it? But it was one of those. I mean, man, who knows? There's a lot of weird things that go on with the ball pythons. Have you seen those genes that it almost makes them look Xanthic, but they're not Xanthic. It like strips them of everything except for the blacks and whites. I forget what it's called. That's pretty cool, but it's not something you reproduce. Same thing like Paradox and Chimera, Skittles, Snake, stuff like that.
But I was thinking that the Stormtrooper was. I was thinking it wasn't even a true Xanthic.
Yeah, it
But I
says antic. Yeah.
never really looked into it much because
Mhm.
I just knew they'd never really reproduced it, and
Yeah.
they've been trying. So if the big dogs are trying and they can't, then there ain't no sense in me trying.
Mhm. And as big as it is, I guarantee you, if they find out what actually did it, there'd be a couple years before anybody found out, unless there was, somebody was just. I doubt that would happen
Seen it
because
lately?
huh?
Have you seen the original Stormtrooper lately?
Yeah, it was the one and only. I haven't seen it like.
It looks like shit right now. Like
I'm trying to think of what size it was. It was a subadult when I seen it. I want to
like
say like
it
400
was
grams.
beautiful. It was beautiful as a hatchling,
Yeah,
uh, and like the grow out stage. But
as an adult, looks like trash.
adult, it just keeps getting darker. It's going to be full black before it's
Really?
over.
That's a shame.
It's not really. I mean, it's still impressive because it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the Stormtrooper, but
right.
you look at it right now, it's just a couple white spots from an 8 ball.
It's a couple white spots from Ray Ball. That's I'll have to look it up. That's interesting. I actually haven't even thought to look
It's
at it.
darker,
I kind
blacker.
of yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean the hatchling pictures are really nice, but I lost interest in it when I found out that it's one of those things where they can't figure out what's going on with it, or they don't want to release it or whatever. Like that's cool, or you can try to figure it out all you want, but I know that a fire pastel is antic looks really. It's not the same, but it looks really good. So that's what I'm gonna go after. So uh, that's
I don't know if you watch any of the Olympus reptiles.
I
You,
did
you watch
I did a
stuff?
bunch, but I stopped watching them so much because I couldn't take their volume issues.
Yeah, they're not real tech savvy, which
Yeah, it's all good though. It's all good though.
I can't really
That's just me. That's
can't
just
really
me.
pitch out.
Yeah, I'm picky with who I
But
watch.
they're real big into the spiders and the exantics, and
Mhm.
like they've created a bunch of like lightning pods and all that crazy stuff. But I forget where I was going with that.
Lost train of thought. I seen it. I seen it
I did.
just float
I
away.
did. You
So
watched it.
yeah,
Why didn't you catch it?
Flexing. I'm gonna try to ring you back in here. Flexing. He's talking about Olympus Reptiles. The main guy, I think his name's Matt, and then there's a guy that is his partner. I forget his name. He's real shy and doesn't do a lot of camera
The
time. But
only
Matt,
video that you'll find him in is the rat video.
yeah. Matt is pretty outspoken, and he's the like face of Olympus Reptiles. Um, they're like purple and gold or the colors or whatever. They're on YouTube. You can look them up. They do gene specials where they'll go through and look at different lesser combos or um, such and such combo. So you do know who we're talking about? Yep. Purple hat, purple shirt,
Yep.
beer belly. That's Matt. He's
Hey,
very.
whoa.
Hey, I ain't talking,
What you
man.
got against the big bellies?
I get the dad belly. I don't drink beer too much, but
Yeah, they say dad bod is what's in.
yeah.
I look like I ate a dad bod for breakfast.
Like you ate one. Kurt, thank you, Leica. Kurt's his name. Kurt is
Yep.
is the most of the time the camera guy. But there's just so many.
Asking the questions usually.
Do what now? Yeah. Ask the questions. Yep. There's just so many people out there to watch. I'm like I said, I'm just super picky with who, and now I find myself like trying to force myself to watch, Gene just to keep it fresh and stuff like that because I'm looking at different aspects of what I want to do next. You know what I mean? How I seen this one guy. He actually had. I think I talked about this once before, but he actually was trying to figure out how the guys that have been in it 20 plus years have figured out the combination to creating crazy looking morphs, and they don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but they know that it's going to look nice. I meant to, huh?
It's all trial and error.
No. This guy, I mean, it made a lot of sense. Like what he was talking about was like a formula to the point of he was saying like a pattern mutation with two color enhancing mutations, um, and something else. But kind of he was. I mean, this guy was like breaking it down like Bill Nye the Science Guy. I've got to find this video again. I meant to screenshot it and send it to you. But it was almost breaking it down to science. And when you think about the level at which some of these guys are doing it and having, I mean, some of you guys probably know who Ball Python Shed is. Um, Jackie, I forget his last name, but Jackie's the Ball Python, Josh Jackie, yes, Josh Jackie from the Ball Python Shed. Just had to upgrade his membership on Morph Market because he exceeded the $100,000 store limit. I cannot fathom how many hatchlings I would have to have $100,000 on my Morph Market store. Just let that sink in. So when you're doing it to that level, I would say that there's a bit of philosophy or science to it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's definitely a lot of well, let's see how this plays out. Or I know it works good with this gene, and they're kind of similar. So I'll see, what this combination doing. Hopefully, it turns out, and maybe those are the times where Justin Kabelka's like, we had no idea how this was going to turn out, but man, did it impress. Blasey.
And you've also seen some of the videos of JKR where he's like, well, that didn't turn out like we wanted, but these are still pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do the math and the science to it, but at the end of the day, it's up to the snakes. It's up to them what they do.
For sure. Hold up. Wait a minute now. April and Marty, they just said, do you name your snakes? That's the only way I can keep up with them. 80 plus, I'm running out of names. How y'all about to pass me up and count? For real. Like, well, I got a clutch coming out of the incubator, so I'm safe. But they about to pass me up real quick. Nah, they've done great this season. Me, I do name my snakes. It's another thing, like Gary said, that keeps my wife interested, and she's able to, kind of come up with names or look up names and gives them to me as we go, especially the ones that she likes. And I also think it's, I don't know, it's it's interesting for them to have names, especially the ones that have personalities or distinctive features like Kleptopatra, or ones that will you thought of that name because they're bitey, or they're just chill as all can be, or whatever the case may be. Marty said we in a race. Nah, man, I'm no competition. I want y'all to succeed. Right beside me, right along with the Noodle Ranch and Fable Creations and everybody else out there. I hope that everybody finds success in this hobby and is able to produce the things that they want to produce and hit those killer odds. When you hit the killer odds, you're probably gonna have bad sex ratios, but that's just how it goes. But you could kill it in both killer sex ratio and genetic odds. Never know.
That's one thing I would love to say is, like, the short time that I've been in it, and I mean, I've got a lot of experience as far as screen time. I've read a ton, and I know a ton. As far as experience goes, I'm I'm still new. Like I'm still pooping green, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But like you talking about, you want them to succeed just like you do me and Kano. That's one thing that I can say is this group, like as far as you and Kano, and like I've never really done any business with bourbon ball pythons or Marty and them, but I trust that everybody that may be watching is in the same page. Like we all want each other to succeed. I've never had any bad experience with none of them. It's like Kane. We bought. Well, my buddy bought a. It was a Coral Glow male het pie.
Mm-hmm.
Some random Joe, and they said, "Oh, it came from Fable Creations."
You done bought one from Joe Schmo, man.
I did. Well, I didn't. My buddy did.
And he got it from Billy Bob, who got it from Fable Creations.
So he got it, and he told me all this. So I was like, well, let me see. So I messaged Kano, and he was on it. He told me straight out of the gate. He's like, no, it was sold to him as a female banana pie.
Yeah, because females sell better, and why wouldn't I say it's a female? I mean,
yeah. So I messaged Kano, and he said, no. He said, no, that's a male.
Yeah.
It's 100% het pied, but it's a male.
Yeah.
And
he knows. He has a photographic memory, and one that I'm telling
you. He even knew who I bought it for, or who I bought it for. He even knew. He remembered.
Yeah. Yeah. His memory's crazy. I found that out.
I mean, I ain't trying to blast names, but
I thought you had froze for a second because you had stopped, but you were just stopping to talk to let me talk.
Yeah,
go ahead, man. I'm being rude. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
No, I guess what I was trying to say is, like, all of these people, like Kano and Bourbon Balls, just all of them, they're all here to help. And from my experience, they've all been that. Nobody, I've never done any business with Bourbon Ball, but from watching your podcast, I know that they're in it and they would offer their help.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for either a pet or an investment, as far as God bless it.
I was gonna say you're almost gone. Almost. I was like, is the camera rolling or is he rolling?
No, I'm rolling. I was trying to go that way, but it's all
backwards. We got you.
But if you're looking to invest, you can probably find one for $75, $100 cheaper at PetSmart.
Yeah.
But if you go to Kano, Bourbon Ball, Morph Nation, hell, even if you come to me, which I'm still new, I'm still learning, but I'll offer any help that I can, and I know that you guys will too, because that you have to me.
Yeah.
You've been that support group to me, so I know that you will to others.
Right.
So that's just my input: is go to somebody that you trust.
Yeah.
And
that's reputable. I get what you're saying. It's just like me.
PetSmart, if you can help it.
Yeah. Which, if you're in PetSmart trying to find some of the snakes that we're trying to produce, then you got money bags, because it's gonna be like $800 plus for that, pied or whatever the case may be. But I get what you're saying. It's just like me. I know when Kano messaged me a clutch, And he's like, man, check this out, check this out. If there's something in there that I have plans for, it fits, I am going to try my best to get it from him. One, because I know the man's got quality. Two, because he'll stand behind his stuff. And the same thing goes for bourbon ball pythons. When I seen that they had the Mystic Yellow Belly female, I needed it. I tried to get it in Blackhead Mystic Yellow Belly had hypo female, but Lindsay only had males in my price range. Um, yep, that's the Kano production.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. It come from Kano. I don't know if he produced it or not, but it came from Kano. And it's quality snake. Quality snake. I should have never let you
It's
have
one
it.
of my favorite girls.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna be a while before she breeds, but and that's
Mhm.
one of the best. It's one of the best calicos I've ever seen.
Did I? I didn't show you mine, did I?
I don't know, you showed me so much.
I'm just messing with you. It was a
I don't.
joke.
I don't want to see yours because you're gonna make me feel bad.
Nah, I'm just joking. This is your show. I'm just interviewing you, man.
It ain't my show.
I ain't trying to steal your shine. No, seriously, this is your
I'm
your
just,
episode.
I'm
I ain't
just
trying to.
here learning. That's
Yeah.
all I'm doing.
But back
And
to what you were saying.
trying
I'm sorry.
to give a little bit of hope to the people that are starting out because I've been in it right at a year, and you can do it. Just don't make the same mistakes that I did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like telling your kids, you know, you don't want to do that. I done it. You're gonna bump your head. They're gonna be like, "What? You lying?" It's gonna happen. You have to let them figure out for themselves. But your duty is to at least let them know, hey, uh, if you do this, then it's probably not gonna turn out well for you. But neither here nor there. Like we said with the mistakes, we've all done them, had them, and you're gonna have to make some mistakes to learn from them. That's just how it is. Uh, but yeah, like you're saying, man. I mean, I have people who continue to come back to me, and I ain't nobody, special, just because of the wholeness of what I have going on here, not just oh, I mean, because these people are realizing, like, yeah, they can go to Morph Market and get the same snake, similar quality. Yeah, they can, go to Billy Bob, get a little bit less quality, a lot cheaper, but he got it from Joe Schmo, and if it's messed up, then that's Joe Schmo's fault, not his fault. You know, instead of with something like someone who you get from me or you or Bourbon Bob, somebody who's got integrity about them, and you message them, you say, hey, you sex the snake as, let's make it right. What are I going to do? Whatever we need to do to make it right, we'll make it right.
That
And
that's the biggest part of it is trust. Like
yeah,
people keep coming back to you because you ain't never done them wrong. Like
yeah,
like if you fuck up, pardon my French, but if you screw
you're good.
up, you'll fix it. We all screw up. I mean that's just the nature of being a human. But the important part is being willing to fix it, and you're always willing to fix it.
Yeah.
And
Kano says,
that's for me.
persistence is key in this hobby. Kano's like one of the coolest, easiest going dudes I know, man. He'll hit something crazy. I think he's got like 3 world's first in this clutch, and he's just like, yeah, I hit these world's first in this clutch, and I'm just like, man, if that was me, I'd be making TikToks, YouTube videos, Facebook posts, dancing around my shop, like, wow, But this is nothing new to him. in a sense of some crazy combos hatching out. Um, it's just all in a day's work for the Fabled Creations. I like that name too. I meant to tell you that, man. I hope to get him on here one day and get the backstory behind Fabled Creations, because I definitely like that name.
I hope you get him on here too, because I want to watch it.
Yeah, ask some questions while you sitting
Yes.
at work. Oops, did I tell him?
Oh,
uh, all right, man. If no one else has any questions for Mr. Reffett here with the Noodle Ranch, we are gonna wrap it up. Um, yeah, man, that's pretty much. I mean, there's a lot that we could talk about when it comes to getting into the hobby, and there's a lot that even me and you don't know, because we're so fresh to the hobby, and we can't really give advice on. Um,
and
with
another thing is, where we're so fresh, everything we've learned has been in the past few years,
Yeah,
and like most of mine has been in the past year. So
yeah,
I've crammed so much. That's just like when I hit this first clutch, I had to go back and look. I was like, oh shit, how do I deal with these things? Because although I've known it forever, but I've crammed so much that some of that leaves,
yeah,
and you forget a little bit here and there, and like the basics. But I was like, well, do I leave them in there until they shed, or do I go ahead and put them in their own little thing? And so I had to go back and look and decide what I was going to do and all that. So
and there's multiple ways of doing it. There's
even though
multiple.
you've watched a million hours, probably not a million, that's an exaggeration, but tons of hours,
Yeah,
you've watched tons of hours of YouTube and you've crammed all this knowledge. It's just like cramming for a test. You're going to set up all night and cram for this test. And then when it comes test time, that one little basic question that you've known whole life is
yeah,
gone because you've
yeah,
replaced it with all this other knowledge.
yeah,
It's just it's a continuous thing. You just got to love to learn and love the hobby.
yeah.
As long as you do those two things, you'll be fine.
Yeah, you've only got so much space, to retain something that you watched one night at 2 a.m. Uh,
I've got
it,
all kinds of space. I've got this big ass head,
yeah, I wasn't gonna say nothing. But
brain,
Lindsay
like that.
Noble in the building with Noble Reptiles. Thank you for tuning in and checking out the podcast. This, ladies and gentlemen, is who is dubbed the Hypo Queen and who is going, or has, they're on the way now, my Blackhead Mystic Ringer or Red, one of the two. I can't remember. I got two of them coming. I can't remember. I can never remember if they were Red or Ringer. But maybe she can correct me here. She's still watching. Het hypo males and two female triple het DG. Man, doggone! I just went special. DG Xantic Caramel Albino. 66% triple het. Fun project. Hope to prove them out in a couple years. But she is DG Xantic Caramel Albino, all 66%. But no big deal that you missed the majority of it. I'm honored to have you jump in the last few minutes. I don't know when you came in, but thank you for tuning in and thank you for commenting and letting me know that you are watching. Because I never know who's watching. Some people never comment. I know I'll be the same 4 or 5 people on here commenting every week. And I'll have 12, 15 people. Huh?
So I'm usually one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just try to stay active, and I
Yeah, man.
usually end up asking you something stupid. So sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Flexing Python says flexing on us all. These things coming. They'll be here tomorrow, but not a flex. These are just building blocks, man. Gotta get them in for building blocks. Now, if I was picking up like a super pastel, inchy desert ghost, had axanthic, had hypo, female, that would be a flex for sure. For sure, a flex. You've been selling up a 4x2x2. Yeah, that's fun stuff. I'm so glad I'm done with building enclosures. I was over that after the first enclosure, and I built 2 more. But anyway, like I said, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, or no one has any more questions for the Noodle Ranch, we are going to wrap it up. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, man?
I think it's got it.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, taking the time out, 2 hours and 2.5 hours tonight of your night to come on and chat with us and tell us a little bit about yourself and let everybody see and hear what you have going on. But again, man, thank you. And
Wrap
everybody,
it up. I'm just a newbie that loves it. So
yeah,
if you love it and you want to go with it because I did, and here I am.
yep. Can't go wrong with it, especially if you love doing this stuff. Kano says that he's waiting on Lindsay to make a super blackhead hypo. Man, I know you got the stuff to make.
But she ended up making it for me. Sorry, bro.
I know he's got the stuff to make this. I know he does. He's got to. All the hypo stuff he has, he's got to have the stuff to make this. Anyway, super blackhead hypo. That's gonna be killer. I don't even know what that will look like, but that's gonna be. See, there you go. The RG, RNG, the red gene, ringer gene, all that. I can't even tell the difference. See, that's one thing. When I get them, I'm gonna stare at them, and then all of a sudden, it's just gonna be apparent to me. That's ringer gene, and that's red gene. It's easy, but got to be exposed to it. So, all right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. Again, appreciate it, man, for coming on, and you have a good night. I'll holler at you soon. No problem, man. See y'all.
Love you, bro.
You too, man.